Back from my excursion in Jamaica. Had a good time. Everyone's excursions run different lengths. Mine was actually one of the shorter ones. Tomorrow's another at-sea day. That's one of those days where you spend on the boat the whole time traveling somewhere. Back in Ensenada, Catalina trip on the Inspiration, apparently at one point the ship was just doing these crazy eights on that sea day because they actually had nowhere to really go to. But no, this one is, we're on a course the whole time that we need to maintain a timetable. There's nothing really planned for the next day and a half, which can be kind of exciting. And then we are on to Atlantis on Friday. Well, Nassau, the Bahamas, but pretty much everyone except Isabella and Glenn are going to Atlantis. Specifically, the water park is why we're going. It's going to include lunch. I'm not too concerned about the food. It's all about the water park. I think everyone's really having fun. Everyone's talking a lot about when they're going to take their next cruise, so I'm going to consider that a success in terms of, you know, having a positive first impression on people for the whole concept of cruising. That's partially owed to Burton, obviously, for introducing me to the whole concept. I'm just paying it forward. One thing that was nice in Jamaica, there's the Taj Mahal shopping center, which is, I mean, it sounds like a mall. It's a strip mall at best. But they did have some free Wi-Fi. It was actually funny. They had this tiny little piece of paper with free Wi-Fi handwritten on it sticking in the window. So it's like some of the most advanced technology that's probably currently available being advertised by like the oldest technology. So that was kind of cute. So I was able to upload some pictures, check in on Facebook, send a picture of the Mario Marathon of me in the Mario Marathon 5 t-shirt on the Carnival Breeze in the Caribbean. So that's a new Starget. Yeah, so I'm actually really enjoying the time on the ship, oddly enough. Excursions are great, don't get me wrong. I had a blast on that bobsled. You have to actually physically push disengage the brake in order to go forward. It's like a dead man switch, so that if you're not physically pushing forward, they spring back into the brake position and stop you. So you have to kind of be leaning forward. Unless you've got really long arms, you have to be leaning forward. So I really had to kind of lean forward. And I mean, maybe that's part of the bobsled experience that they're really trying to do, but that is a lot of fun. It gives you this real sense of momentum, and it's an odd combination of being in control and not being in control, because you're in control, but you choose to give up that control. And when you first arrive on site, and also when they tell you right before you go off on the ride, they basically say faster is safer in this instance, because if you brake too much, then the person behind you could basically ram you. And that's the only real safety concern, is them hitting each other with too much force. The actual speed in the course, it's super safe. It feels a little rickety in parts, but I'm sure that's part of the plan, part of the appeal. So that was great. The pool, very small, would probably fit 8 people or something, and a little slide that's, I think, shorter in terms of the drop than like the Travel Lodge near West Edmonton Mall. So I didn't bother with the pool just because of its size. I think that the slide here on ship is probably going to be more impressive, which I still haven't done yet. So that's on the to-do list. I took care of something else on the to-do list today. I had the burger at Guy Fieri's Burger Shack or whatever, Burger Joint, I believe it's called. It was really good. I mean, there's not much selection, so unfortunately those of you who have dietary restrictions against eating beef patty and would prefer like a chicken burger, or vegetarians who'd like a veggie patty or something like that, there's none of that. You take what there is, and all that there ever is, you know, beef with cheese. You want it without cheese, you're probably going to have to special request that. So even those with lactose intolerance, that's, you know, that's a shame. But at the same time, it's very, very fast. They actually serve the fries with their hands, which is a little interesting, but I've got no concerns because I'm pretty sure they're very hygienic here. I've got a lot of confidence in the Carnival Cruise Lines. So yeah, it was quite. They have a station where you can put tons of toppings. The problem with that is that for me, they're not my kind of toppings. Onions, bacon, you know, fritters, different stuff, whatever. The little fried up mini fry things, little fried onions, jalapenos, banana peppers, all that kind of stuff. But you know, they got the basics. They were short on pickles, but I was able to get some forgotten pickles in sort of a place where people wouldn't really look in the tub, because you're kind of up against it at crotch level.
In the supermarket, Bill was always very careful to select fruit from only the back of the produce piles, as the fruit in the front was at crotch level to the other customers.
And so just inside the lip was actually quite a few pickles. So mine actually had a lot of pickles. Everybody else had to suffer. But yeah, they got the ketchup and the mustard, and and then they got the weird stuff like mayonnaise. Weird people. And so it was good. I mean, and I had it as a late lunch, so I'm hoping it wasn't too terribly filling because, whoo, man, the restaurant is fantastic here. I mean, it's the restaurant on the Carnival Inspiration pretty much blew my mind. Whether it was the quality of the food, the fact that you could have as much of it as you want, without any charge, and the wait staff are fantastic. They're just tremendous. I mean, put aside the song and dance, which you've now probably seen a couple episodes of them doing, and hopefully more is to come on that. But it's the sense of humor is fantastic. They'll crack a joke. They bother to learn your names before you sit down, which, I mean, wow. Where in the world do you get that kind of service the first time you go to a place? It's great. They Carnival, with the concerns right now over PRISM and NSA wiretapping, internet spying, all that kind of stuff, I think that these guys have a really good idea on how to data mine. I mean, obviously for passport, access information, booking, all that, they get a certain degree of information about you. They're going to know your name, what cabin you're staying at. They'll probably have your credit card on file. They're going to know your birth date from your passport information, your passport number, all that stuff. So what do they do with it? Do they use it for marketing? It doesn't appear that way, but they use it for service in some really innovative ways. When I was on the Inspiration with Burton, he got a birthday card on his birthday. He didn't say word one to anyone, they just had it on file because it's part of the information you provide. So last night when we went to the restaurant, the guy was basically talking to all of us by name at the very beginning. I think he quickly clarified one person's name so he didn't get it confused. He was like, "Oh, you're Isabella, right?" or whatever. And as soon as she said yes, that was the only piece in the puzzle he needed. Because the other thing is that they take your picture when you check into the ship, and they associate that with your file and your card. So they know what you're supposed to look like, and so they can look at the pictures. And so they can walk up, and the waiters, they're just slick. They've got this information at their fingertips, and they use it, and they use it well. If you go to the sit-down restaurant, they know when you're eating, and that's when they sneak into your room, do another turn-down service, and leave the towel animal for you. So, I mean, clearly these guys have been doing this for a very long time. They're very professional at it. And so we're just being spoiled rotten, really. I mean, one limitation of the sit-down restaurant is they can't really do special orders because a lot of the stuff is made in sort of a large scale. So if you want Caesar salad without anchovies, if you want no onion in your Greek salad, something like that, they're not really able to accommodate you there. But if you want just a big old bowl of grapes, and that's not on the menu, but they happen to give some grapes with cheese platters or whatever, they can make that happen. If you want 4 appetizers, that's what Mindy did last night. She just had 4 appetizers, 2 desserts. That's it. So they're really great. I mean, the first night, the waiter comes up to Isabella and gave her another of the appetizer that she had requested because it arrived late. And he basically said, "You don't need enough. Here, have this." She ended up not having it, but the thought that went behind it was just fantastic. They're not afraid to crack a joke. I was at the trivia game with Sam on the Ocean Plaza, and it was a Family Feud style thing. Name the number one answer that people provided to this question, and one of the questions was name something that's dirty. This busser comes up to Sam and I, and he's like, "My mind, don't tell my boss," and sneaks away. And it's just moments like that. It's hilarious. It's great. They really kind of draw people out. Went to the piano bar for a little bit, last couple of nights here and there, just to check it out. The guy's not great. He sounds a little bit like Bono after Octon Baby, where his voice was kind of messed up for a little while, kind of like between that and Pop, his live performances, if you ever saw them on MTV, or back when they played music videos on MTV. They didn't. He didn't sound that great. It's really raspy, and he just vamps a lot. He vamps in the middle of the song. He'll play a few notes and then say something, and then play a few more notes and then comment on somebody in the crowd. And there's engaging your audience, and then there's avoiding doing your job. But just it's a larger piano bar than the Inspiration, and because this is the first full cruise of the holiday season, and this is such a larger ship, that it's packed. Every time, the 2 times Sam and I have gone there, it's standing room only when we first showed up. In fact, last night when we got a seat and a table for a little while, that was actually kind of unusual. So, yeah, he's not that great. Isabella described him as annoying. I can't say I fully disagree, but I still think it's possible to have a lot of fun there, and so I'm hoping that Sam will come along, give it a proper try. The man doesn't know Sweet Caroline, for God's sakes. I mean, I'm no Neil Diamond fan, but for the love of God, it's like bar song, you know? How do you not know that? He knows Journey, probably 2 songs, if that, probably more like 1. But anyways, I think he'll have fun. And you know what's funny? Every time that there's some song that comes on that he enjoys outside of the piano bar, including at karaoke, I might add, Sam's singing along. You can't stop him. We're at the beach, we're in the pool, we're in line for food. He hears a song, he starts singing along. But I can't get him to do karaoke. I think this is a cry for help. Leaving Jamaica, at sea day tomorrow, then it's Nassau, the Bahamas. And a note to those of you who hear it or pronounce it wrong. It's not NASA. NASA is the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, which is something I want to go to, but I can't fit in this trip. Nassau is an island in the Bahamas, home to Atlantis. So hopefully that episode will educate everybody on what that's all about. I hope you're getting something out of these videos, that they're either giving you inspiration, pardon the pun, for trips of your own that you might want to take people on, or informing you before going on a trip to some of these locations, or just giving you some ideas on how to have some fun, or at least a few laughs. So do keep watching, subscribe to the channel, hit like, add a comment below, that would be great. One of our videos, the James Darren video from season 3, I seem to get a comment about once a month, and let me tell you, that's I really appreciate that. That's a lot of work I put into these videos, and knowing that there's some total strangers out there that are getting something out of this is really, really great to hear. So even if it's constructive feedback, something about, our first season I kept filming up my nose, so with shots like this I tried to avoid that, and that was some of the good feedback that I got from viewers. So keep liking, subscribing, commenting, sharing these videos, like them on Facebook, all that kind of stuff. And it's all about positivity. We give fair reviews of things, and they're not always necessarily positive, but it's all about how to have fun on a trip. One thing is a lot of people stressing about a lot of different things on this trip. Trying to organize 8 people to do the same thing, even just coming here was a bit of a trick and a half. So the one thing that, other than some issues with some flights, which I admit stressed me out some, because it's so completely out of my control, and there's not much in the way of alternatives. But when it comes to everything else, somebody doesn't want to do an event, somebody doesn't want to do dinner, somebody is hard to get a hold of, just assume they're having a good time, and go do the same yourself. That's really how to have fun on a trip. I talk about the preparation I do. Superior information makes for a superior experience, and that's wonderful. But it can't be an obligation. You can't feel like, well, I researched this thing, now I have to do it. That puts too much stress. You gotta, the funny thing is the more that time passes, the less research I find I end up doing for places, because I start taking sort of the Vegas approach, which is basically see what's available, go and do it, and discover something new, and have a blast along the way. It's like in that episode of Doctor Who where he says, go use the wrong verb, kiss the wrong person, get it wrong, and then learn.
You can't just read the guidebook, you've got to throw yourself in, eat the food, use the wrong verbs, get charged double, and end up kissing complete strangers.
And that's a really quick and really fun and interesting way of traveling. So it doesn't all have to be pre-planned down to the moment. The more of that you do, the worse off you are. But doing the reading beforehand, especially when you're on a ship with no real Wi-Fi option, come with some good information, some good ideas, but don't decide anything until you're there.
Bye-bye, Jamaica.